first you'll have this illustration of this leaf to draw in order to then go in and modify it. So as you use the pen tool, just remember you can click and drag to set the curve point. As the curve point builds up, it's going to option to click to set a corner point, and you can manipulate those later. All these pieces are just paths. You could do it a number of different ways, but just trying to create that outline to get that shape, and then using the mesh tool. But first, make a couple copies off to the side, and then as you work with inside of this, to use the mesh tool to maybe shade it, or you can use the gradients. But the mesh tool will just simplify the idea of how it splits the paths and creates them separately. So it is a mesh tool unless you break it apart. So it'll give you that overall look to it that you can start to work with. But the information for the curve and corner points will come with the drawing previous to that till you break the appearance of this one here. Take a look at this illustration. This is the paths, and up at the top panel you'll end up seeing on the control panel what these points are, but you need to select the direct selection tool. So this is before the coloring, and when you click on a point it gives you the curved and corner points up at the top, and in each of the anchor points there's a series of handles that are evident when it's made a curve point. When it's a corner point it stays in there, so you can change these curve to corner. And when you're on the mesh section down below here, just kind of make a copy of it, you'll see that it gives you the segment up here that it's a mesh selection right at the top. Even if you take the direct selection tool and select a couple points, it's there, but you can manipulate these pieces up here. So once they're selected, if you just use the direct selection to do one, you can see that it has the point with 4 handles that move independently of themselves, and you can kind of tighten up the shading. So when you take a look at some of this, the shading is kind of characteristic of this part, so you can really modify it once it's down there, so it gives you a little bit more control over that edge. If you take the Lasso tool and you click on that, it allows you to take and grab some of these points. Otherwise you have to hold the shift key down in order to manipulate those. So just a command key to click on it. This will give you these pieces, and the selection tool, direct selection tool, allow you to grab those parts. So it's just a trickier way to grab all the points that you need. But this is for the mesh, and it's, like I said, you can't change the curve and corner. They're individual that you want to do that at. But you can do that before you do the mesh, or you can do the object and expand the selection once you have it highlighted there. So it gives you a couple options of using the pen and path tool to break that apart.